Hey everyone, so today I want to briefly cover the Ford Performance Supplement Guides. Every Ford Performance vehicle comes with a supplement. It goes over the specifics of your Ford Performance vehicle, things like the maintenance schedule, the specific aspects, and the operation of the vehicle itself. Now, this is different from your standard basic owner's manual that just covers some very obvious and basic information about the vehicle. So it starts off obviously with a glossary that goes over what's in the manual, as well as just some basic information about the vehicle, the powertrain, the exterior, interior, the chassis, just the basic information that you would read in the brochure it covers for every vehicle. And when you start to go through it, you'll find that it has sections for setting up the information display so you can monitor the features and aspects that are important to you depending on what you're doing with the vehicle. This is specific for the 350s and the 500s, so you can set them up basically the way you want. Also, this driver's aid section lets you go through the drive modes and explains what they are. So you can either adjust the drive modes independently, or you can adjust individual features like the steering or the suspension settings. There's also a very specific section on towing. The 350s and the 500s have to be towed with a flatbed, and they have to be towed a certain way. 350s require a bridle strap because they don't have factory tow hooks. And they also need to use a ramp because it has to be a very low approach and departure angle when you load them. Now, the 500s have a tow hook from the factory, so it makes it a little bit easier to tow the 500s, and it also explains in the manual how to affix the tow hook to the front of the GT500 should you need to tow it for any reason. And there's also a strap hidden inside the console because when you want to tow a 500, you have to put it in neutral, but there's a certain way that it has to be put in neutral so you don't damage the transmission. And even the Raptors actually have a hidden interlock device next to the shifter if you can't get them out of park. There's also a break-in procedure recommended for the Shelbys, which is basically 500 miles to go easy on it and 1,000 miles before it hits the track. You have a maintenance schedule, goes over oil changes and basic maintenance on the car. It has a little bit of a more definitive maintenance schedule for when you should do things like the oil and replacing things like the air filter, the oil filter, as well as the interval in the mileage to change all those aspects. So a pretty detailed maintenance schedule overall, as well as the specifications and the capacity. So if you're going to run Motorcraft parts, it has the full parts list. So when you need to change those parts, you have everything listed. Also, the capacity and specifications for all the fluid, everything from the engine oil to all the drivetrain components. Also, there's an accessory section for the Raptors. So if you want to upfit your auxiliary switches, it shows you how to wire them. Now, getting into performance driving, it has sections for performance driving. If you're off-roading your Raptors, it goes over some basic recommendations. It also has a track use section for your Shelby. So using the track apps, how to set things up for track use, like using the line lock or the launch mode also for track use. Taking and adding certain appendages, what needs to be taken on and off for track use, like the vent on the GT500s. Also, there's an alignment section for the 350s and the 500s, street versus track alignment. You also have scheduled maintenance for track use. Obviously, track driving the cars, the intervals are going to be significantly shorter for track-driven cars. So just keep that in mind. It also has in there warnings that come up and what to do if the warnings come up if you're track driving the car. If you get overheat warnings, that you should change the fluids right away. Wheels and tires, especially for the carbon wheels, it has the torque specs on there, so make sure you properly torque your wheels. It also has a section in there, and it specifically explains in the warranty that track use does not cover under the warranty, so just keep that in mind if you are track driving your car. And then at the end, a vehicle care section. It has basically, it'll say with the 500s, they don't recommend using a power washer to clean the 500s, but on the 350s, it says that it's okay to use a power washer as long as it's below 2,000 PSI, especially if you have the vinyl stripes on the car. So, and then for the Raptors, one funny thing it has in there is it says don't use the openings on the front of the bumper as a step for when you're cleaning it. So it's just a real basic thing, but it's a good thing to look through so you have a pretty good understanding of the vehicle, the maintenance schedule. And if you have questions about what fluids you want to use or things like that, it's all outlined in there. And it's actually a pretty interesting read. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching.